Download and upload more than ever before with an ultra-fast fiber connection. With 3 simple steps, you can be the one with an SLT fiber optic connection. Visit slt.lk.
Tonight, fuel change. Discussions underway to ascertain amendments to the current fuel prices. Country first. President Maithripala Sirisena warns politicians to be sufficiently cautious on country's economy and not only on the elections. Children, get ready. Prime Minister reveals plans for new policy for educational transformation. And also music's biggest night. The 61st annual Grammy Awards took place in Los Angeles yesterday, giving Cardi B a historic night.
Ooh, the nerves are so bad.
Tonight, Monday, the 11th of February, 2019.
From Ada Derana, this is Ada Derana First at 9 with Ndivari Amuata and Mahesh Jani. Live from Studio 24 in Colombo.
And a warm welcome to First at 9 right here on Other Than 24. Very good evening.
Good evening and a warm
Did you manage to catch the Grammys last night?
Certainly the music industry's biggest and the most entertaining event of the year.
Indeed. What was fascinating about last night's show was the fact that apparently women were at the center stage.
Right, 5 awards. 5 awards for the first time.
Exactly, and even Cardi B, the best solo rap album, which was never won by a woman, was won yesterday by Cardi B. We have all those stories coming up later on in the bulletin, but we begin with something that would indeed concern our viewers.
Now, the fuel price is revised in line with the fuel pricing formula is expected to be announced today, sometime tonight probably. Accordingly, the fuel prices are revised every 10th day of the month under the fuel pricing formula introduced by the government. And Mahesh, I think last time we made some changes and we'd like to remind that to our viewers too.
Exactly. Now, the prices of petrol, 92 octane, 95 octane and auto diesel per litre were then reduced by 2 rupees, while the price of super diesel was reduced by 3 rupees per litre. On January 10th, the crude oil, represented by the Brent price index, and the refined petroleum prices, represented by Singapore's Platts, was marked at $59. However, it has now gone up to $62.
And we move on to other stories making headlines tonight, as it has been repetitively stated that we all know that 2019, this year, is an election year. However, the President Maithripala Sirisena warns politicians to be sufficiently cautious.
Now, the attention should not be vested on solely on election campaigning. That is what the head of state said. And he said that it would lead the country towards a further economic downfall. The head of state also reiterated the importance of controlling illicit narcotic circulators within Sri Lanka.
President Maithripala Sirisena chaired a meeting at the BMICH today with government officials on the goals of special projects attached to the Grama Shakti People's Movement for 2019.
We hear talks of how this year is considered an election year. If that was in fact the case, all politicians should be busy with election campaigns without focusing on any work. If all these competitive politicians focus on the presidential and provincial council polls, as well as ponder over who should be the next president of the country, we won't be able to maintain growth in our economy. Our economy would even head to negative territory. There is something else I wish to mention. When looking back at my experience with the people in the north, many who surrounded me when I was there were mothers of missing. They want their children back. But now, whenever I go to these areas, people surround me and urge me to get rid of the illicit drug and liquor menace. This request is something the entire country voices in unison now. Meanwhile, the Department of Prisons, they began calling applications from today for the recruitment of 2 executioners. Prison officials are currently carrying out technical evaluation for the implementation of death penalty. Applications from persons aged 18 to 45 years who have passed the GCE ordinary level examination with 2 credits will be accepted for the position. The media spokesperson of the Prison and Prison Commissioner said applications must be directed to the Commissioner General of Prisons at the prison headquarters.
Well, Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe reveals that the Ministry of Education is currently in the process of formulating policy that enables science and technology studies to secondary education system in a way and as a way towards enhancing our education system.
Now, speaking at an event at the Sila Ratna Mahavidyalaya in Dombagoda in Horana today, the Premier noted that the next step for Sri Lanka's education system is to inculcate information technology in the curriculum. We are ready to take the next step in our education system. This is to ensure science and technology education to all students. Accordingly, we should introduce a secondary education system that is focused on these 2 subject areas. We should ensure 13 years of compulsory education. We should also allow some students to follow vocational training during their advanced level studies. The Education Ministry is currently preparing a policy for this. And when talking about educational development, information technology plays a pivotal role in spearheading the way forward. It is one of the most crucial elements in this process.
Meanwhile, Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe presided over an event where 6 new United National Party electoral organisers were appointed. Addressing the new organisers, the Premier, in his capacity as party leader, said that the United National Party's restructure process will go forward with the support of other political parties and forces.
The event to hand over appointments to 6 new electoral organisers of the UNP was held under the patronage of Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe today. Accordingly, singer Rukantaguna Tilaka was appointed as the electoral organiser of Dambadenya in Kurunagala district. Pathadumbari electorate was entrusted with Tirina Bandara Tendakun, while parliamentarian Kavinda Jayawardena was appointed as the electorate organiser of Nigambo. Former SLFP Deputy Minister Lalit Disanayaka was appointed for the Aranayaka electorate. The Varyapol electorate, meanwhile, was entrusted with Manjula Bandara, and Udaya Vijayanayaka was appointed organiser for the Hiriyali electorate.
සත්ජාතික පක්ෂයේ නව ප්‍රතිසංවිධානය ආරම්භ කරලා තියෙන්නේ අපි දැන් විශේෂයෙන්ම ප්‍රජාතන්ත්‍රවාදී ජාතික පෙරමුණ ආරම්භ කළා ඒ හැටියට බලවේග සියල්ලම එකතු කරගෙන අපි ඉදිරියට යනවා මේ රටට නිදහස් සමාජයක් වුණා නම් මේ රටේ ප්‍රජාතන්ත්‍රවාදය ආරක්ෂා කරන්න වුණා නම් එහෙනම් මේ රටේ අධිකරණය ආරක්ෂා කරනවා නම් මේ පෙරමුණෙන් තමයි ඒක සිදු වෙන්නේ කියලා.
In other local stories we have for you tonight, UPFA parliamentarian Rohita Abegunwardena stresses that if they are to join hands with a party to contest in the presidential elections, it will be done in a manner that will not cause any harm to the identity of the Sri Lanka Podujana Peramuna. Meanwhile, chairman of the SLPP, Professor G.L. Piris, who was speaking at the same forum today, says that the party is of the stance that it is best to dissolve parliament by obtaining a 2/3 majority before nominations are called for the presidential elections. The presidential election should be held before the 9th of December this year. Accordingly, nominations will have to be called on the first week of October. A useless period for the country starts from this month to October. A resolution, however, signed by the 2/3 majority can dissolve parliament at any moment. Parliamentarians who are with the SLPP will be in support for such a resolution. This government is like a ship without a captain. There is no direction. This affects the country very badly. The country's economy has collapsed. Illegal drugs are everywhere. In the past, we have heard of only few grams being taken into custody, but today the arrests are reported in kilograms. He has a right to express whatever he wishes to, but so far we have not come to any agreement. We would like to make one thing clear. Our decision as to who we support in the presidential election will ensure that it will not harm the identity of the SLPP.
Well, Well, over the past few days, the arrest of the underworld kingpin Markandre Madush in Dubai became a highly debated topic among politicians. And yesterday, we reported claims by Public Enterprise Minister Lakshman Kiriyalla that attempts by the government to bring down Markandre Madush to Sri Lanka were disrupted as a result of information being disclosed to media. Minister Kiriyalla said that the government's attempts was to bring down Madush the same way in which Kumaran Padmanathan, aka KP, a former LTTE chief, was brought down to Sri Lanka from Malaysia. However, speaking to media today, leader of the Pivituru Hela Urumaya, MP Uday Gammampila, cast doubt over these claims by the minister.
KP නොහොත් කුමාරන් පත්මනාදන් කියන්නේ
Kumaran Padmanathan, aka KP, was one who committed crimes in Sri Lanka only to flee Malaysia later. But Madush is someone who had committed crimes not only in Sri Lanka but also in Dubai. Dubai police is now investigating whether they can press charges against him on narcotics usage as well as drug smuggling. The UAE can imprison him for 10 years if these charges are proven. But there was no way in which he could have been flown down in a suitcase as mentioned by Minister Kiriyalla yesterday.
බෑග් එක දාලා අරන් එහෙම හැකියාවක් නම් කොයිම මොහොතවත් තිබුණේ නැහැ.
The parliamentarian also refuted claims by the United National Party that the said diplomatic passport holder, who was among the arrested along with the underworld kingpin, is a member of the UPFA.
State Minister for Public Administration made a misleading statement in Parliament. He said that when he inquired from the immigration controller whether a diplomatic passport holder was taken into custody in Dubai, he said he had no information about such an incident. There is no mechanism in the world to inform the controller about arresting a diplomatic passport holder. Our embassy in the UAE should write to the UAE government inquiring list of names of Sri Lankans who have been arrested, also whether there was a diplomatic passport holder. Some UMP MPs allege that the diplomatic passport holder is a Pradeshiya Sabha member of the SLPP. Another UMP parliamentarian said that the diplomatic passport holder is a provincial council of the UPFA. Unfortunately, these MPs are not aware of the fact that Pradesh Sabha members and provincial councillors are not entitled for a diplomatic passport. If you are a politician, you should at least be a provincial minister or a mayor of a municipal council to obtain a diplomatic passport.
This is breaking news on Other Derana 24.
Well, we have breaking news. We were talking about fuel prices just at the beginning of the bulletin, and we have news on that. Apparently, there's an increase in new fuel prices in Divri.
Yes, Mahesh. In news just in, the government revised prices of fuel moments ago, and the Finance Ministry announced that fuel prices will be increased by 6 rupees, that is for 92 octane petrol, and 4 rupees for diesel. Issuing a media communique, the ministry said that taking into consideration of the prices of the world market, it has been decided to increase the prices of a litre of diesel by 4 rupees and also a litre of petrol, 92 octane petrol, by 6 rupees.
Now, fuel prices are revised every 10th day of the month under the fuel pricing formula introduced by the government. So those are the new prices which we just informed you. Once again, if I remind those prices to you, octane 92 petrol, the revised price is 129 rupees. It has been increased by 6 rupees. Octane 95 petrol has been increased by 5 rupees, and the fresh prices are 152 rupees. Auto diesel is 103 now, increased by 4 rupees, and super diesel is 126 rupees, that is increased by 8 rupees.
This is breaking news on Other Derana 24.
Well, an altercation erupted at the Minuanguda police station following an arrest of a police officer attached to the Katunayaka police who threatened a group of individuals with his firearm. In a twist of events, the police officer was later arrested and presented before the Minuanguda Magistrates Court when a complaint was lodged against him. The incident transferred following an accident which took place along the Dorangaha Nilpanaguda road when the motorcycle of the police officer officer collided with another motorcycle in the area last night. CCTV footage showed that the police officer, who was in civil attire, physically assaulted the other motorcyclist while residents in the area stepped in to stop the altercation, but they too were threatened by the police officer with his firearm. Following the incident, the police officer went into hiding at a relative's residence in the area, but were later found by a group of residents. He was then taken to the Minuangana police station, where another tense situation erupted between the group who arrived to lodge a complaint and the officer at the police station.
Well, State Minister of Highway and Road Development Ranjan Ramanayake says that the second phase of the Central Expressway will be vested with the public by September this year. An observation tour was organized for the Mahasangha today at the construction site of the expressway. Currently, 60% of the 39.29 kilometer long route between Mirigama to Kurunegala is completed. During the observation tour, Minister of Public Enterprise, Kandy Heritage and Kandy Development Lakshman Kiriyalla meanwhile said that once completed, the route will pave the way to Kandy until the remaining two phases of the expressway are completed. The new chief of the Mission of International Organization for Migration, Sarat Dash, assures commitment to work closely with the government, UN system and other stakeholders to serve Sri Lankan migrants and their communities during his tenure in the island. Sarat Dash presented his credential to the Minister of Foreign Affairs, Tilak Marapana, today. During talks that followed, Foreign Minister Marapana, while acknowledging the strong relationship between the organization and the Sri Lankan government, said there was an urgent need for skills development for migrant workers to meet the demands of destination countries. The new IOM chief expressed commitment for continued support towards Sri Lanka.
Well, the Sri Lankan High Commissioner in the United Kingdom, Manisha Gunasekara, reminded the Sri Lankan diaspora in the United Kingdom the significant roles that the community can play in Sri Lanka's ambitious target of emerging as a hub in the Indian Ocean region. To this end, Manisha Gunasekara identified the Sri Lankan diaspora living in the United Kingdom as one of the greatest assets with the potential for strengthening ties between the two countries and branching out into new areas of cooperation. Speaking at the 71st Independence Day celebration in London recently, the High Commissioner also praised the country's process in strengthening democratic institutions and reconciliation to the British dignitaries who were present at the occasion.
The Sri Lankan High Commission in London commemorated the island's 71st anniversary of independence with dignitaries from UK, members of Parliament of the House of Lords and the House of Commons and the London business community recently. The UK's Minister of State for the Commonwealth and the United Nations of the Foreign and Commonwealth Office, Lord Tariq Ahmad, was the chief guest at the event. A trade show exhibiting key sectors of the Sri Lankan economy, including real estate, infrastructure, finance and health, was held in parallel with the diplomatic reception. Buddhist, Hindu, Christian and Islamic religious observances were conducted during the event.
We are several diverse communities who share the same soil, seeking unity and the desire to live in harmony.
Love yourself first, then your neighbor, and going further, love your enemy. So this is the real freedom.
As Muslims, join hands with other communities in brotherhood and solidarity to remember the great sacrifices made by great leaders from all communities in securing our independence in 1948.
Meanwhile, Lord Tariq Ahmad, delivering his address, highlighted the importance of UK-Sri Lanka ties and reiterated the United Kingdom's continued partnership in engaging politically and in trade and investment for the benefit of Sri Lanka. Sri Lankan High Commissioner Manisha Gunasekara, in her address to the gathering, referred to the significant progress made by the Sri Lankan government in strengthening democratic institutions, upholding good governance and the rule of law.
As a multi-ethnic, multi-religious and multicultural nation, these are achievements we can be justifiably proud of, even though there is much more work to be done. This year, we would also mark 10 years since the end of the conflict. Much energy and resources have been put into developing the former conflict-affected northern and eastern provinces. Today, we are a peaceful and a somewhat prosperous nation, emerging as a hub in one of the fastest growing regions in the world, while Sri Lanka and the United Kingdom enjoy a close and special bond based on historical ties. You, as a Sri Lankan diaspora, are one of our greatest assets in transforming these affinities into new areas of cooperation.
More news right after this short commercial break. Stay with First at 9.
You are watching Sri Lanka's #1 news channel. This is Derana 24.
Welcome back to New Business News. The State Investment Agency has given the green light for an investment project to construct Sri Lanka's tallest building outside the Colombo district. The Board of Investment inked an agreement with Bellevue Residencies Private Limited, which is a mixed development project for a 35-story tower and shopping complex in Jayala. This is the first time such a high-rise tower will be built outside the city of Colombo, and the project represents an investment of $15.4 million.
Well, the stock market closed slightly weaker today while foreign trading boosted the turnover. The all-share price index ended at 0.06% weaker at 5,960.62, while the turnover was at 3.3 billion rupees. Foreign investors were net sellers of 1.2 billion worth of shares today. Now, taking a look at your currency rates, the rupee ended slightly higher today as exporters and foreign banks sold dollars amid foreign investors' purchase of government securities. The rupee closed at 177.75 per dollar compared with the Friday's close. The local currency posted a weekly loss of 0.7% last week due to imported demand in the latter part of the week. Here's a look at the day's foreign exchange rates.
Overseas, China struck an upbeat note today as trade talks resumed with the United States, but also expressed anger at a U.S. Navy mission through the disputed South China Sea. Escalating tensions between the United States and China have cost both countries billions of dollars, as disrupted global trade and business flows, royal financial markets. Higher principal level talks will take place on Thursday and Friday with U.S. Trade Representative Robert Lighthizer and Treasury Secretary Stephen Mnuchin. The two sides are trying to hammer out a deal ahead of March 1st deadline, when U.S. tariffs on $200 billion worth of Chinese imports are scheduled to increase to 25% from just 10% at present. Meanwhile, a U.S. official had told Reuters today that the two countries' warships, that the U.S. warships, two of it, sailed near islands claimed by China in the disputed South China Sea, but the ships had entered the waters without China's permission. China's Navy had tracked the vessels and warned them to leave, accusing Washington of provocation and of harming China's sovereignty.
Now, here's an interesting story coming out from Indonesia. The Indonesian police have apologized and pledged disciplinary action after their officers draped a live snake around the neck of a suspect to persuade him to confess during an interrogation session in the easternmost populous area of Papua. A video circulated online shows a man being questioned about stolen mobile phones, seated while his hands were tethered behind his back, yelling in distress as the snake is pushed towards his face by an officer. Now, in a statement, the Indonesia's Jaya Vijaya police chief issued an apology, saying the investigator was not professional in doing his job. The police chief added that the officer had been acting on their own initiative to try get a confession, but the snake was not venomous and it was tame.
Well, we take a short commercial break. We'll be back with news and, of course, reviews and snippets from the entertainment and music industry's biggest event of the year.
You are watching Sri Lanka's #1 news channel. This is Derana 24.
Aspiring candidate for the presidency of Sri Lanka Cricket, Mohan De Silva says that he is unaware as to how his nomination was rejected by the appeals committee to scrutinise nominations in the run-up to the cricket election.
Now, addressing a media briefing in Colombo today, he added that he will take up the matter before courts.
My colleague Ravin and I have been rejected by the appeals advisory committee to the Minister of Sports. And I must tell you, unfortunately, we came to know about this only through the media on Friday, I think. And up to now, we have not been officially intimated about this decision. I took over the board only on the 1st of April. Although our financial year is from 1st January to 31st December, I had only 9 months of time of administration during that year. So I was carrying somebody else's baby as well. But in 2005, we made profits. We made 356 million. 2005 was also part of my period. My board was suspended in 2005, but they are referring to the accounts in 2004. So these were all done with malicious intent to bring in the favorites of those who were involved in cricket. I'll openly say Mr. Jeevan Kumar Tunga, the then minister.
Well, in Divari, this is what we've been talking about all throughout the night during our broadcast about the 61st Grammy Awards. The biggest name in the music industry came together last night for the 61st Annual Grammy Awards in Los Angeles.
At a ceremony dominated by female performers and presenters, Casey Musgrave won Album of the Year and Cardi B became the first woman to win Best Rap Album as a solo artist.
Now, Childish Gambino's This Is America won 4 awards, and Lady Gaga's Shallow from the movie A Star Is Born, which she is starring as well, won 2 awards.
Country artist Casey Musgraves won Album of the Year for Golden Hour. America by Childish Gambino won both Records and Song of the Year at the 61st Grammy Awards in a breakthrough for rap. British singer Dua Lipa was named Best New Artist. Lady Gaga scooped 2 awards for the movie, one for Best Pop.
Well, Cardi B did have an extraordinary year last year, not only in the music industry but also personally with the other entertainment artists. Well, with that, let's end tonight's bulletin.
Thank you very much for joining us. For all that you missed and for all the latest developments, do log on to www.otherderana.lk and also follow us on our YouTube channel and other social media sites. I'm Indira Yamuatha.
I'm Mahesh Johnny. Good night.